Welcome to Firewire. You're watching Firewire. Welcome to Firewire. You're watching Firewire. Welcome to Firewire.
Tonight's special guest.
You're watching Firewire. Welcome to Firewire.
Hey, you finally felt like showing up. Welcome to the Firewire at East Hampton Bowl. Come on in.
Hey, it's Fingers hanging out with you at Firewire. Right now we're going to check out some finger picking styling from a local guitar hero right here out in the Hamptons. Please give it up for Ken Morsch.
Welcome back to the Firewire. I have a special guest here this week. I have Fingers from WBAB Metal Shop. Right? BAB Metal Shop?
Well, Fingers Metal Shop's been on BAB since 1983.
How'd you get involved with broadcasting on BAB?
Well, if you want to go for the beginning, as a youngster, I think I was injected with a phonograph needle when it came to vaccination time. I had an infatuation with music and vinyl and the whole process of how radio worked. And after working for a band for some time, a band called Whitefire, it was a big Long Island band, played in the tri-state area. They gave me the name Fingers. And in 83, or 82 actually, I heard from a friend of mine that BAB was looking to do, fill a position that was open, driving their van. Making deliveries, inter-office mail and stuff like that, and then finding listeners with bumper stickers on their car to give them a pair of tickets or the new Zeppelin album or what have you along the way. And my goal was to get on the air, and it was an unorthodox way to go about it, but I did it a year later, and a year and 6 months later, we started Fingers Metal Shop. Fingers Metal Shop went on for 21 years. And then I gave it a rest to try a television endeavor. And we brought it back in a year and 3 months ago.
How did Whitefire give you the nickname Fingers? How did that come about, or should I even ask?
Well, it happened in a nightclub in Queens called Beggar's Opera.
All right, maybe I shouldn't ask then. It wasn't in a bathroom, right?
No.
Oh, okay, then I'll ask. Go ahead, continue.
It was actually asked, they said for some reason they needed a nickname. They already had Doc and Bones, and they yelled out a few different names. And one of them said, well, what about Fingers? It was Scott, the drummer, that said, what about Fingers? And some chick in the audience yelled out, yeah, Russian fingers and Roman hands. And I went, I'll take that one. And I did lights on a keyboard ensemble, it was all pressure-sensitive switches. So you just very simple par cans and fennels set up, and I just kind of had this kind of artistic approach to it. I almost played the buttons like as if it was a keyboard. And because of going back and forth, the Fingers thing fit, and it stuck. And when I left the band to DJ in nightclubs, I already had a name that was known from going around to each of the clubs and setting up the band for the past 3 years. And then I got a full-time gig at Beggar's Opera, and then I heard about BAB, and the rest, as they say, is history.
So when you were DJing, it was rock music, yeah? It wasn't like
actually, it was everything.
Really?
I would stay in a pocket where I just wanted to be unpredictable. I'd like to play a couple of things that you were familiar with, something that would tickle you from your past, but I was really into turning people onto new music. And the art of it was trying to mesh it into a playlist that it didn't stand out so much, that it fit the musicality that was going on in the thread of the playlist, so that it was appropriate to hear at the time you heard, as opposed to hearing like Celine Dion and then putting on Metallica, you know, it was so abrupt.
Well, when you started Metal Shop, Fingers Metal Shop, really BAB was playing kind of like a pop rock-ish. Well, I guess back then there wasn't really a pop rock. But I mean, they certainly weren't playing the type of things that you were playing on your show. So what made you decide, back in the hair metal days, which is what I remember, because I'm a little bit younger than you. Don't let them lie to you. I'm a little bit younger than you. So what made you like play the hair metal? Because really BAB was not playing the Motley Crues, the Cinderellas, those types of things until you did.
Actually, Ian, you're wrong. Okay. BAB, for the most part, was an AOR radio, is what they called it back then, album-oriented rock, which essentially meant that you were playing rock music, but you were going deeper than the track that was the single. You were album-oriented.
Right.
So you would hear everything on BAB, from Billy Joel and Al Stewart's Year of the Cat to, you know, Led Zeppelin and The Who and the Stones. In that time, in the early 80s, the radio industry was starting its change. And we were playing Ozzy Osbourne for breakfast. And most of the audience that listened to BAB at the time was a very younger, skewed audience.
Like me.
Much younger than even you.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Not as good looking, but much younger. So the Metal Shop came along at a perfect time when the station was trying to augment their image. It was kind of looked at as like the dirtbag radio station.
You know, I walked around in pleather because I thought that was cool at 15. 11. Sorry, I'm really young. And, you know, really that's what drew me to it, because when you put on other rock channels, they just were, I don't want to say they were scared to play it, because I really don't know the music industry, especially back then. But you guys were just balls to the wall. It was like if you felt that people would enjoy it, you weren't scared to play it.
Well, BAB had a very open format, if you will. There was, you had quotients you had to play. As opposed to them saying you have to play this song, this song, this song. You had to play a song that filled this quotient and a song that filled this quotient. As long as you went through the library and filled the quotients, you were good. Fingers Metal Shop, on the other hand, I was the programmer, the host, the promoter, everything. When they gave me the opportunity to do the show, which I will always be eternally grateful to Bob Buckman for giving me that opportunity, it was, he wanted to see that it was familiar.
Okay.
So the first show was Van Halen and Def Leppard and, you know, all of the bands that were well known in the time. And after that, I don't think he listened anymore. Within, I'd say, a month, we got mail from South America, Europe, and This is pre-internet, pre-CD.
Right.
And I was getting music from all over the world, all different kinds of music. Now, this is 1983. Metallica had just played Cheers that summer. Nobody knew who they were. I was there. It was like 50 people, and we were all like...
You know, it's funny you mentioned Metallica, because the first time I heard Master of Puppets was on your show. Not BAB, well, of course, BAB.
Of course.
But it was your show. That was the first time I heard Master of Puppets, and I was totally blown away.
Yeah, Master of Puppets was an interesting turning point, because we had already established Metallica with Seek and Destroy and Hit the Lights and stuff. When Master of Puppets came out, I went on the air and I said, Metallica will be the next Led Zeppelin or Grateful Dead type of band. And a lot of people lambasted me as like, how could you say something so sacrilegious? And my point was that the band's popularity would grow to that type of band that the Grateful Dead and Led Zeppelin had, and that their contribution, I think, would be as large as Led Zeppelin's. Now, whether you can dispute that as opinion or not, the reality is that they have gone on and made a giant mark in the music industry in a music that originally radio wanted nothing to do with. Now, of course, as they grew and matured, they changed some of their approach, and with different producers and stuff,
Right.
the Black Album came out.
Which is also a good album.
It's
but
a fantastic album.
A lot more
but
popish.
if you go from, Kill 'Em All to that album, it's a night and day difference.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
I would have never predicted Kill 'Em All to come out. However, Master of Puppets is the perfect link in between those two.
Right.
But bands like Slayer and Obituary and Death and all these bands that nobody had ever heard from, we're getting all this mail. And people, the way I promoted the show, because the station said, we'll give you the 2 hour, or it was an hour when it started. What do you want it to sound like? And I went home and got stoned in my bedroom and made the intro of the show, which is still the introduction. So the intro of the show kind of set the stage for two things: that it was going to be something different, that you were going to intend it. Because one of the things about heavy metal, especially in the early inception of it, is that music nobody wanted anything to do with. And the fans held on to it as their defense. They were defending their right to have their music. Well, everything was going along fine. I mean, the new wave of British metal started coming across, onto this shore in the late 70s and early 80s. Black Sabbath had already kind of spearheaded heavy metal as a musicality. Steppenwolf gave us the moniker in Born to Be Wild. But the real birth of heavy metal, the real explosion, was Quiet Riot.
Kevin DeBro was amazing.
The interesting thing that I find about the Quiet Riot phenomenon, I mean, it was the first album by a heavy metal band to have #5 single and #1 album on the Billboard charts at the same time.
Right.
Everybody in the country was hearing it, and it was so huge that it made every single record label go out and try and find a band like Quiet Riot. And that's what started the positive insurgence of the music and at the same time the dilution of the music.
Yeah, my mother actually heard the Quiet Riot Mental Health album, and not because she wanted to. She really didn't have a choice, But I agree. I mean, Rudy Sarzo and Carlos and
interesting
Frankie, unbelievable band.
The band had Randy Rhoads as their guitar player.
Originally,
and yet, he leaves, and their first album after he leaves goes #1. Now, he's doing great work with Ozzy Osbourne, and unfortunately, he passes before he gets to see his brothers make such a mark in history. But because of that band and the amount of stuff that got thrown at the wall by record labels, some poor bands, just didn't have a chance, but they got signed and scooped up into the money parade.
Right.
But that also created all these subgenres because people were like, well, that's not heavy metal.
I also think it opened up the door for a lot of bands that didn't. I don't want to say didn't deserve to be signed. I think that's not really a fair statement. But certainly,
there's a lot of bands that got signed that did not deserve to be signed.
Don't talk about me like that. I do feel, though, there were a lot of bands had, not everybody scrambled, like you say, never would have even got off the L'Amour's or the Mulcahy's kind of a stage. Never.
Not for nothing. If you think back, L'Amour's, Brooklyn, you got Sundance.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Sundance.
Gazzari's,
yeah, right,
the Whiskey, out on the other coast.
Yeah, Whiskey A Go-Go, yeah.
Those clubs are where these bands that, Metallica played Cheers and stuff, Halford brought Fight around to the Judas Priest came to Sundance. Guns N' Roses played it. So I have Guns N' Roses recorded from the soundboard at their first show at Sundance.
But when Metallica was playing those types of venues, they were hated. They were booed. They were not off the stage, but they were booed. Nobody really liked them because they just didn't get the genre, I guess. Because they now we call them heavy metal or we call them rock, but back then it was such a new genre. Nobody ever sounded like them. It's like when Black Sabbath came out.
Right.
Nobody sounded like them. Everybody's kind of sounded Beatlesque, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Everybody wanted to be Zeppelin or the Beatles.
Exactly. So Black Sabbath comes out and they have a hard time at it. So this is kind of a similar situation when Metallica came out, where they were just not accepted, not because the music wasn't good, but because people didn't understand the sound that they were trying to put out. Would you agree with that?
Well, whenever anything new comes along, there's always a warming period, and you either warm up to it or you cool down and you walk away. I think that what Metallica did was gave everybody an alternative to what was on the radio. And quite frankly, I used to hear Lars come up on stage and say, no thanks to radio. And that used to piss me off because I'm like, I'm the only guy that played you here.
Right.
At the time Metal Shop was on, there was no other shows around.
Who knows?
As we got deeper in, everybody got one. RCN had one, BAB, NEW had one, APP had one. It was everybody was doing a metal show.
Even KTU went rock. I mean, they went from playing Slick Rick and Curtis Blow to playing rock. Who would have saw that coming?
I remember when we turned over the KTU band at Summerfest out in the Hamptons.
Well, let me ask you, of all times, who's your favorite band? Of all times.
I'd have to say, as far as entertainment value, Kiss. For good, good rock and roll songs and good fun, Kiss. Manowar is one of my favorites. Metallica is one of my favorites.
Very underrated, Manowar, yeah.
Overall favorite band is probably the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, really? The Stones?
Sticky Fingers.
So that's really where you got. So it was in the bathroom. Is that what you're trying to say? It was in the bathroom where you got your name. See, you lied to me before. Now the truth comes out. Got to remember the lies when you tell them. Fingers, you got to remember them. All right, so hair metal is kind of like my genre. I mean, I was born in '67, '70s. The music really sucked for me anyway. I wasn't into Linda Ronstadt and Carly Simon, and Stevie Wonder was always great. But 80s hair metal is what really gripped me. Bands like Grim Reaper and Thunder, and I'm sure a lot of you have no clue who those bands are, but they were great. Remember Thunder? Mm-hmm. Band from Japan.
I love Grim Reaper, Nick Bocott and those guys.
Grim Reaper's awesome.
Rock You to Hell.
So, there you go. Everything was hell. See You in Hell, Rock You to Hell, My Mama's in Hell. Everything was about hell. But
no fury.
The guy still had a 4-octave range. I mean, he deserved a pat on the back, which he never really got. And then Thunder being from Japan, they couldn't say their R's. Remember? Walkin' Woe, Quasi Nights? Still a great song, though. Loudness, I'm sorry, you're right, Loudness. The album was Thunder.
Too.
But I think the album was Thunder, right? Loudness?
I don't remember.
All right, I'm going to go with that because he doesn't remember. He can't correct me.
Can't
so
everything.
In the hair metal stage
Lucky I
now.
found my way here.
In the hair metal stage.
Actually, this is coming live from a bowling alley.
A bowling
out in the Hamptons.
You're getting that back there, right, Frank? You're seeing everybody bowl a little bit? Now you sound like my wife. Thanks. Appreciate that.
I find it kind of ironic that I had to play in a road that's got one lane all the way out here to hang out with. There's 12.
16.
Oh, 16.
Give me a little credit. Yeah, it's like the Winger song. She's only 17 minus 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the 80s, the hair metal, who was your favorite hair metal band? Rolling Stones overall, but who was your favorite hair metal band before that genre got run over by Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all those kinds of bands?
I don't know. I mean, I think Extreme was probably one of my favorite bands to come out of that time.
You would consider Extreme like hair metal?
Well, they had hair.
Well, so did I
mean,
back then.
but you know, you could call Poison a hair metal band.
Sure.
You know, anybody
Motley
that had
Crue.
long hair got thrown into the thing. So, was it the ballady thing that made him a hair band? Was it the lipstick and the hairspray that made him a hair band? Was it the music? I mean, was it the show? To me, there's too many names, too many categories and subcategories and genres and subgenres. Music is someone's artistic expression of an emotion. Their desire is to emote from you something. Whether you get what the song was about to some artist doesn't really matter, as long as it touched you. So whatever your interpretation of it, music should be something that just makes you feel. Whether it makes you feel happy or sad or whatever, it touches you in some way. And if it doesn't, that's okay. It's just not a song that's for you.
You know, I agree with you, but I think a lot of bands, once they sign with labels, they're kind of forced to move away from that musical integrity.
Absolutely. I mean, a label is, you know, the Hydra, you know, the three-headed dragon, because on one hand, you're like, great, we got a deal, we get distribution, and on the other hand, you're like, fuck, they want to change what we look like and what
Who we
do.
are, yeah,
And
yeah.
worse is they want us to pay them back.
Get a lot of that, yeah.
You know, how many bands got thrown at the wall to see if it would stick because their music fit into a place, and they said, we'll give you a one-record deal, and they got to recoup
Here's
the money
all this
on that
money
deal.
up front. Yeah.
Here's the money to record the album. Now go out and tour to support it. And if it doesn't work, you owe us $100,000.
You know, you're right. You're right.
You know, and everything started to change a couple of years after Metal Shop got on the air. I remember interviewing Queensrÿche. I got Michael Wilton and Jeff Tate in the studio. Rage for Order is out. So we're doing an interview. It's like the third time I interviewed them, but they're in the studio live. And one of the things that stands out to me most is that Michael Wilton says the record label said if we sell enough copies, they'll put it on CD.
No way, really?
Yeah. Because back then, it was right at the apex on whether CD was going to replace vinyl or not. Would it be accepted? Was it going to go the way of the cassette?
That's when they were selling for like $60 a CD.
That's when you could find very few artists on a disc. I mean, you know, a Springsteen and Billy Joel, they got catalogs, they got proven track rates, they're going on disc.
Right.
Is Malice going on a CD? I don't know.
Not back then.
But now everybody's on CD.
Yeah, yeah.
And
you're right.
eventually, CDs will be gone too. Everything will just be this digital.
Right.
You know?
Right. Tell me about like the, I don't want to say best interview. I really want to hear more about the wildest interview you have done with somebody. Are you allowed to even share that
I
without
interviewed a
throwing
band
someone?
called Mad Rain, who God knows whatever happened to them.
When was that?
In 80, I'm going to say 5 maybe.
Right.
And they were on tour. They came through. They were an unknown band for the most part. We were playing a track. I don't remember the name. And while I'm on the air and I have them in the green room, and of course you're in radio, so you get these windows that look out into the hallways and stuff.
Right.
And while I'm on the air doing the rest of the show leading into them, I see this hall fills up with white smoke. So I'm like, great. There's got a fire in the building. What the hell's going on? So
Right.
I finish my break. I turn up the mic. It's the band chasing each other with fire extinguishers.
Nice.
I'm like, guys, I'd like to keep my job. That's probably the silliest, stupidest thing that's ever been done.
You've interviewed everybody who's kind of like the who's who of rock over the last 20 plus years.
One of my most endearing and favorite interviews was with Ozzy Osbourne around the time that they were putting out Tribute. And he came to me and he was dressed to the teeth in white. He was pristine, clean, stone cold sober, articulate,
Wow.
and a pleasure to deal with. And I loved the interview. I sat with him for about a half an hour in a room and we did an interview. 2 nights later, he came to Sundance to see Gene Marcello, Pepe's son.
Okay.
He couldn't find the stage.
Wow.
The place was empty. He's standing looking at us. We're at the soundboard. Where's the stage?
Turn around.
Over there. That was sad. But that sowed the way of Ozzy, and he's open about it, you know?
Right.
Falls off the wagon, gets back on. So
I think the fact that he's willing to share a lot of his experiences has hopefully scared off some other people from maybe taking it too far, even if they did try it. I mean, there's so much video of him. I remember, what was it, the fall of civilization?
yeah, Western Falls.
Yeah.
Fall of Western Civilization.
I mean, I remember distinctly he was trying to cook eggs, and I mean, you couldn't understand a word that he said. It just, you didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, yeah. You know, the debauchery and the excess that came along with the '80s was not just in heavy metal. It was in disco. It was in government. It was just, you know, it was an excessive time for all. And hopefully we learned some things that we can apply to make our place that we live on a better place, and our children have a better understanding of the do's and don'ts. You can't take away from the '80s and go, oh yeah, it was fine. It was excessive.
I totally agree. So, how often is your show on at this point on WBAB?
It's on Sunday nights at 9 o'clock. Fingers Metal Shop is, you can check it out at fingersmetalshop.com. You can look at the playlist and stuff.
You have to log in, though, when you go to Fingers Metal Shop, right?
No, you can see the playlist. You can
Really?
see scrap
'Cause
metal.
I've
The only
gone
thing
to
you
the
log
page.
in for is if you wanted to participate and interact with the other members of the site.
Okay.
You know, and you can post your own events and stuff like that as well.
All right. Do you interact with the people that actually log in
During
from
Metal
time
Shop.
to time? Yeah, you do.
Yeah, during the show,
Okay.
because that's when most people are on.
Show starts at 9, you said, on
Yep.
Sundays. What time does it end?
11 o'clock. It's
11
2
o'clock.
hours of hard rock and heavy metal, and then my regular shift, I do, you know, The Who and the Stones and Kiss, and that happens 2 to 7 Monday through Friday.
Beautiful. Any appearances you're going to be making upcoming?
Actually, we're going to be
Other than
broadcasting.
this show?
We'll be broadcasting live from Queensrÿche at the Emporium on Sunday night.
Wow, really? Do I get a backstage pass?
You might get in the front door.
Do I have to pay to get in the
We'll
front?
see how good this interview turns out.
Holy Christ.
I might just give some tickets to the editor.
Wow. Well, Frank, can you take me to the show? And yeah, thanks. Doesn't pay to know low people in high places. So I really appreciate you coming down, man.
My pleasure,
I really appreciated Fingers. To me, you're an idol in the industry, and I really appreciate you coming down, man. I do.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to come down, and the fact that you wanted to talk to me was endearing, and I wish you luck. I like to help anybody who has a creative desire to push them in the direction to achieve what they want to achieve. So if me being here helps you out, and I had some fun, it's all good.
Thank you, brother. Even if it doesn't help me out, you know, TV-wise, it helps me out up here. So,
Okay.
Again, I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Plus, it
Godspeed.
gives him something to do.
He's got enough to do. Don't let him fool you. We're going to be right back with the Firewire.
All right, where's my bowling shoes?
Each one of them red, we can last forever until the end of time. I cherish you endlessly for all of eternity. Love you one and only. In a frame on the wall was a photo of her and him. Now nothing's there at all, just an outline of what had been. Why such a sudden change that's ended up with two? Feeling all alone, there's gotta be something wrong. But right now, we messing around right here. She told him, baby, I'm out. Right then, he realized what he had done, losing everything that he had ever loved. Then she called asking, are you okay? While he replied, I miss you, my baby. You'll always be my girl, my everything, my world. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Underneath the perfect smile, so much uncertainty. She's been feeling for a while, something must be missing. That spark that we once had in our souls isn't letting go. Oh no, 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 'cause right now we messing around right here. She told him, baby, I'm out. Right then he realized what he had done, losing everything that he had ever loved. Then she called asking, are you okay? While he replied, I miss you, my baby, you'll always be my girl, my everything, my world. Right now, we ain't messing around. I said right here, she told him, baby, I'm out. And right then, he realized what he had done, losing everything that he had ever loved. Then she called, asking, are you okay? While he replied, I miss you, my baby, you'll always be my girl, my everything, my world, my world, my world.
All right, let's give it up for Ken Morsch. Way to go, Ken. Come on over. Let's interview you. How are you, man?
Well, yourself?
Very, very good. So, all that talent. How old are you?
I'm 24 years old.
24 years old, you have all that talent. When did you pick up a guitar? How old were you when you picked up a guitar?
Well, I was about 18 years old. You know, I was going to college, and my older brother's pretty much a jacked guy. You could kind of tell that I'm not. And he said, you know, if I like girls, that I should either learn how to play guitar or work out. It's worked out pretty well.
I'm kind of jacked, too. And well, I got a keg going on. I don't have a six-pack, but I got the keg going on. Hey, over there. Don't make me come over there. So that means you've been involved with music for only 6 years?
Yes. Yeah, I picked up guitar about 6 years ago. The fingerstyle that you saw me playing is something that I've kind of gone to for the last 2 years. Those first two were original. The last one was original as well, but you know, I kind of ripped off a little bit of the riff from it, but you know, it wasn't 16 bars, so it's fine.
So nobody's going to sue me or you. Well, I mean, you can sue me, but you can't get blood from a stone. You, on the other hand, I can't speak for. So are you self-taught with the guitar?
Yes, yeah, I'm entirely self-taught.
And the vocals, never had a vocal coach?
I've used a couple for some period of time, but you know, when I was in college, I went as a voice major for a little bit, songwriting, composition, but it was never anything which I really want. You know, I guess I just really never looked into it too much.
Right. Well, let me ask you: have you ever heard of Yngwie Malmsteen?
Oh, absolutely, Krakatoa,
Alcatraz,
yes,
all that stuff. When he went to Alcatraz, he was 13. And you have that kind of talent. You're something exceptional. So what I want you to do is let the people know, where can they find your website, where can they find your Facebook, where can they call you at? Because you're going to be booked quite a bit, I'm sure, if you're not already.
That would be wonderful. Well, my name is Ken Morsch. You can go, I'm just starting up a website called www.kenmorsch.com. That's KENMORSCH. You could also find me on Facebook, Facebook/pages/Ken Morsch. I play throughout the area, solo, duos, also with a phenomenal band, a retro soul band that backs me up. And you can contact me at 631-702-5000. That is a real number. And my email is kenmorsch@gmail.com.
Okay. I know that when Fingers was here from WBAB, he was like blown away. I heard a lot of good things. Did he tell you anything that can you kind of take to heart, take to mind, and help you?
He seemed to like it quite a bit and said that he would contact me. You know, I hope he follows through with that. You know, but you know, I've always been taught, you know, to try to stay humble through things, and to, you know, basically in the middle of every difficulty comes an opportunity, right? A great quote. And sure. You know, I've been through a little bit of difficulty, and the opportunity that I found is through my music. So, you know, I'm going to keep doing that.
And you wrote songs for some other artists, right? Is that correct?
I've written a couple songs that other artists have sung. You know, I haven't gone like too far with it. I've opened up for some pretty large bands. I've opened up for the Gym Class Heroes over at CW Post. I opened up for Bel Gilberto over here at the Surf Lodge in Montauk. And I've shared the stage with Randy Breckert, a phenomenal trumpet player who resides here in the Hamptons.
Okay, and you play pretty much the Hamptons a lot, right?
I'd like to play a little bit more, you know, but so maybe you can call some of those numbers to contact me, but yes, I do.
All right, so make sure you hit Ken up. You got a website, you got a Facebook, you got a phone number. Ken, pleasure was all mine. I appreciate you coming down. We'll see you soon on the Firewire. Thanks for stopping by for this episode of the Firewire. I love you, Jake. Take care of your mom. For now, get out. We'll see you next week.
Welcome to